Hi folks, here's another story about my adventures as a musician in the 1960s. This is about another trip to Germany that I made, and it was to the Star Palast in Kiel. I mean, Palast in German means palace, you know. Star Palast in Kiel, Germany, on the northern coast of the Baltic. It was owned by a guy called Manfred Wartiller, and how it came about, this time I was with a band called Ricky Wilson and the Three Quarters. Three-piece band and a frontman singer. Three good musicians that made a really tight unit. We had four-part vocal harmonies and excellent drummer, good instrumentalists. So anyway, it was a good little band. So we set off from King's Lynn in Norfolk, England. We set off in our old van, a BMC van, and prior to this, you had to have a visa to work in Germany, to go there to actually work. Well, it turns out that we knew already, we had checked it out, on this particular day that we travelled, there was a new law coming in Germany where you could work for up to 6 months without a visa. So, obviously, we set out on our journey with no visas. We boarded the ferry at Harwich, got off at the Hook of Holland, and when we went through the border checks, the Dutch, Netherlands police, border control said, "You don't have any visas." We said, "We don't need them because you can now work in Germany for 6 months without a visa." No, we don't know that. We don't have that information. We can't let you pass. They parked up the van. They marched us off to the police station because the police carry guns, you know. And we were held there for hours, if not almost half a day. And eventually, one of the police officers or higher ranking guy came through and told the guy who was guarding us, told him, "Oh yeah, they're right. The information has just come through. They are allowed to go without a visa." So anyway, that was the start of the adventure, not going too well. Jumped back into the van after being delayed severely, and we drove all the way across Holland, right through Germany up to the north coast to Kiel, which was evening by the time we got there, and we did think that we should possibly have been playing that night. But it turns out that Manfred, the owner of the club, "Oh, nobody told you," because the contract was with the Star Palast, you know. "Oh, no one actually told you. I don't need you here. I want you so-and-so," right? And what it transpired was that he had an extremely good business model, stroke scam, if you like, whatever. His club was a big club. It was an old cinema, been converted, and it had a dance floor and then seating cubicles all around, and it was a good place. His arrangements were that he'd book bands, and then for a whole month, just like the usual deal, you know, you play every night for a month, and he farmed you out to smaller clubs in smaller towns for 3 weeks out of the 4 weeks, out of the 4-week month. And what you had to do was you spent a week at each club. So what you had to do, you had to collect money every night from the owners of these small clubs you were playing in, which we went to Hamelin, which is Hamelin, where the Pied Piper's famous from. We went there first, then we went to Rendsburg. And no, we went to Oldenburg first, then to Hamelin, and then to Rendsburg in those 3 weeks. And you had to collect the money every night. By the time you had done the 3 weeks at the small clubs, you had already got your money for the whole month, which meant that you went back to the Star Palast, Manfred's own club, and you played there for a week for nothing. And he had about 5 bands on at his club, 5 bands playing every night for nothing, because he'd already got the money from the other club owners. Brilliant scheme. So that's what happened. We actually played our final month at the Star Palast. Good gig. Easy, because there were 5 bands sharing the work. But at the end of that month, I mean, you could have been sent, you could have done the first week or the second week or third week at his club. It was just one of the 4 weeks you were going to play for him for nothing. When we finished it, coming towards the end, he called us into the office and he said, would you like to stay another month? And we said, well, yeah, sure, but you'll have to take a cut in money. This was another standard ploy of his, that he would give you an extra month's work, but you'd have to do it for less. And he was famous for doing this. And the funniest thing was, he actually had a parrot in his office that kept on saying money cut, money cut. He taught it to say that. So we agreed in principle, but then at that time, I think it was while we were in Oldenburg actually, we'd been approached by this German guy who wanted to be our manager and said that he would get us other gigs. So, and he showed up with another month's contract somewhere else, at a smaller club somewhere else. And because Manfred had asked for a money cut, we actually jumped into the van in the middle of the night and disappeared. And then we spent a long time, the rest of 65 and well into 66, maybe a year, touring other clubs, mostly around the north of Germany, with this guy getting them the job work for us. But that's another adventure, and we had some pretty bumpy ups and downs with that one, but that's another story for another day. So I'll talk to you later about that. Thanks for listening.